Hello, welcome to the presentation for the Zowe Documentation Viewer with the project that I worked in the Open Mainframe project internship. So in this presentation, I will be telling about me, how I got motivated to participate in the Open Mainframe project internship and the work that I did in the internship on this Zowe desktop documentation viewer. So I will first start telling about me. My name is Parth and I am undergrad computer science student, and I have previously interned at CERN, Premier Digital Services and Purple. I had the privilege of working for the open source organization FOSS Asia as a Google Summer of Code student. I've also contributed to open source projects on GitHub such as TensorFlow datasets, SQL Alchemy, and Algorithms Python. Apart from that, I've also given talks, the technical talks, and presented posters at some of very prestigious Python conferences, namely PyCon US, EuroPython, and PyCon Australia, and FOSS Asia Summit. I am a highly motivated and dedicated engineer and technical writer who is passionate about writing clean, efficient code and practicing modern standards. If you want to know more about me, you can find me on Twitter and GitHub. So I will now start talking about the project and talking about Open Mainframe project internship. So the first thing that caught my eye when I read about the project description when I was applying for the intern was that it is one of the Zowe platform projects, and I know like Zowe provides modern interfaces and was created to host technologies that benefit the Zowe platform from all the members of Zowe community. I align with Zowe ideas to modernize mainframe and simplify the user experience and make the mainframe more easily accessible. So following that, the Zowe desktop documentation viewer is meant to help with core Zowe documentation viewing and could be extended to show help type documentation from apps installed in the virtual desktop. So I advocate open source software personally, and this project helped me to make sure that open source software thrives in the world where technology is growing at a very rapid pace. So now I will move on to the next thing, and I will talk about what I did in my internship. So the project name is Zowe Documentation Viewer, as I've already told you. So I will now talk about the goals of the project. So there were three main objectives for this project. First was to create a documentation viewer application, basically a MVP, and make it ready to be added in the API catalog of the desktop and showing all available plugins in the application. And each plugin may have a variety of documentation with them, for example readmes, licenses, guides, API documentation, and more. Secondly, like various types of documentation generally resides in file formats that browsers can visualize, for example like JSON or text or markdown. And finally, it should be a standard viewer and a standard package scheme to show the documentation in the desktop. So this, I worked on the MVP for the Zowe documentation viewer. So this is a sitemap. So homepage contains the list of plugins, and it may have other external links. So list of plugins, and then each plugin will have own list of documents, and list of documents may contain PDF files, markdown files, or Swagger JSON like for API documentation. So now I will straight move to the demo so that you can see what I have worked on. So yeah, so this is the Zowe desktop, and here you can see the list of application that we have. So we have Zowe desktop documentation viewer, and as we click on it, so first time we open it, it loads all the applications that is available, all the plugins that are available. So if I click on any of the buttons, so I will get the list of docs for the respective application. So if I click on sample Angular app, so I see there is a hello.yml. So if it is a YML, so it may have the API documentation, the Swagger documentation of the application. So if I click on get doc, so we see the documentation is viewable in the Monaco editor, which is a tool to which is a library to view the documentation of different types, and we also have a back button to like go back and browse other documentation as well. So this is the project, like, so how this thing is working is like first when I open the documentation viewer application, it sends a request and we to the server, which is implemented in Node and Express, and it sends a list of plugins in the front end, which is implemented in React. Currently the UI is not looking so good, but like it can be improved. And when we get the list of plugins, we visualize it in the home page, and if I click on any list of documentation, I get the list of, like, if I click on the list of docs for any specific plugin, we get the list of documentation of that respective app. And if I click on get doc, it sends a post request to the backend with the identifiable path for the document and the plugin name. So that's how we get the specific document from the client. So now if we see, like, if you want to contribute to this project, so whole code can be viewable in the Zowe Documentation Viewer in the Open Mainframe Project Internship organization. So I've updated all the code. So code is available in the source of Documentation Viewer repository, the Node server, which is the backend code, and the web client, which is the React code for the client side. So I've also mentioned like the server code and client code, where it is and what are the things that are needed to be improved for the future, and what things are already done and what things are can be improved, can be implemented more in the Zowe Documentation Viewer app. So this is all my presentation for the Zowe Desktop Documentation Viewer internship project that I have did. And thank you for listening to the presentation, and please let me know if you have any questions, and you can always open an issue and ask about anything. And thank you very much.